Hello lovelies, how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. I'm a bit chilly again. It's about 10-11 degrees today. No sun getting into the garden at the moment, which makes it feel a bit cooler, plus it's really damp. So much rain. However, today I've got a window of about 5 hours of dry. So it's time to crack on with planting the winter garden. So it's probably going to be in 2 parts. So yeah, let's get on. I'll just quickly show you where I got up to the other day after, what did you see? Oh, I was clearing out the tomatoes. So I'll show you where I got to and what's on the plan for today. Come on, let's get gardening. Yeah, let's get moving, keep warm. Well, as you can see, all the pots and bits and bobs are off the bed. I think it's pretty much time. I think I'm going to be harvesting these squash this afternoon. I'll explain why, more of that later. Those 3 bags are going to come into use. But, yay! All cleared, all weeded. My goodness, it took so long because I've got a weed I want to show you, but I think I've got rid of them all. Maybe it's over here at the back where I couldn't quite get to. Can I find one? Yes, it's this weed here. See, oops, pretty little leaf. Now that weed, it has an incredibly long root. So I'll show you on the bean pole. So this is the surface of the soil. Here's the plant above. The root can be sort of 10-15 centimetres long, and it's incredibly spindly, fine little root. And then at the end, down here, a bulb. It's so hard to get that weed out without snapping that root and the bulb staying in. So I'm going to guess that about maybe half, if not more than half of them, I've ended up, the bulb is still down there somewhere, so they're going to come back. But I'll just keep attacking them each year. Right, now, I also, that boulder that's sitting there, it was on the back, but I moved it in order to weed underneath and all those stones, so they need to go back in place. And then, yeah, I'll talk about the bean poles. Right, let's just get on, because it's going to be a bit of a... I was thinking last night in bed about what I need to do today, and I was thinking about all the equipment I no longer have because I left it in London. I left it at my allotment, and it's suddenly like, oh, I could do with that. Oh, I could do with that. But I will make use with what I've got and just get on and get this winter bed started. Now, I don't normally recommend standing on your beds, but I'm going to have to move this boulder. And I've got a massive hoodie on today, so I look huge in it. No, I haven't put on a load of weight. It's like that really. It's just big and baggy, but warm. Oh la la. Gotcha. Once I start to sort of really redo this garden in terms of, you know, like the patio and all that sort of stuff, or put it another way, once I give it a proper design and get going, might not be for a couple of years or so, then I think some of the boulders may move off the bed and onto the patio and become more decorative. I don't want to get rid of them. They're beautiful and they've got lichen on them. I love the lichen. I do love them, but obviously they're in the way of planting. They can stay for now. Right, the other thing I've got is just here. Oh, it's a weight-bearing exercise day today. The tomato bags. A couple of little weeds. They'll die on the top of the soil. Right, scissors. Now, talking of some of the things I had to leave in London, one of the things was my rake. That's okay. Where to put my scissors? Yes, a rake would be useful today, but honestly, with such a titchy garden, I'm not going to... Oh, bits of plastic. I'm not going to bother getting, replacing it, because, like I said, this plastic's recyclable, by the way. Yeah, as I said, I'll just make do with whatever kit I have got, which is fork. Oh my goodness, look at huge, big fat worm. Oh, sorry wormies, I've disturbed your bed. Tons of worms. More plastic. So I think the goodness in this compost will have been pretty much used up by the tomatoes. I don't honestly know how much goodness there was to start with, really, seeing as how much those tomatoes struggled. But there's still a lot of organic matter in this, a lot of bulk, and, well, all these lovely worms that we've just seen. Oh, another massive one, size of a snake. Oh, it's curling up tiny now, but look at the size of that one. Oh, sorry, little one. In you go, in you go. Yeah, there is organic matter in this, as in the bulk, fibrous stuff, if you like. And as that gets incorporated, plastic, that will help with moisture retention, because this soil is really free draining. So I'm sort of putting it on almost as a mulch, and then that stuff will get incorporated. Now, time to get planting. Oh, just use your hands. Who needs a rake? Oh, more plastic. I need to go and get a bin. All these plastic bits I'm finding, they've come out of this bag of compost. It's shocking, really. Well, not shocking, really. It's shocking. Okay, let's talk about planting. Oh, and I've got to get what I'm going to plant, I've got to get it ready. Yay! Yay for planting more. Right, let's get a bin full of this plastic. So, one of the other things I don't have anymore, my row markers. Quite simply, old kitchen skewers, or bits of broken bamboo with string, a long length of string tied on them to give me my nice straight rows. I mean, look, I like straight rows because it's tidy, but also the straight rows is also about maximising space. If the rows start to go all over the place, I'm not going to be able to pack in as much as I want. So they're my 8-foot poles. It's slightly off because poles aren't completely straight. And then this one is a 6-foot. I'll use at the back. I'll squeeze another row in there. Yeah. And I just want to check at the front with a bit of the wire. Have I got enough space at the front for the wire to stop the boidies? The other thing I don't have, so that's my row markers, my straight line, my string lines. I don't have anything to mark the end of rows with because, well, I used to use broken bits of bamboo stick, so I just use the labels instead. Okay, let's get on and plant. First thing I'm planting today is broad beans. This variety is Super Aquadulce. You could just use Aquadulce, but they are perfectly suitable for an autumn sowing. I like sowing in the autumn, pretty much always have done, because then you get a slightly earlier harvest the following year, So these should harvest May time. And what that means is that by the end of May, hopefully I'll have harvested them all by the end of May, the plants can come out and I can get my next crop in. Whereas if I started these in February, I probably wouldn't be harvesting until June, into early July, by which time it's too late because I want the tomatoes to go back in here next year. So yeah, if you're short of space, it's well worth thinking about, are there things I can start now for an earlier harvest next year in order to get them out early next year in order to put something else in. So I counted up my seeds. I think I can do 3 rows of 15, the back row will be less. So another thing I like to do is I just pop the seeds on the surface of the soil initially, just so I can visualise my spacing. Now I'm cramming them in here. All the textbooks will tell you sort of rows that are 50 centimetres apart, or let's try and do that in imperial, like a foot or so apart and a foot between each plant. I've always crammed them in much closer than that, and I've done okay doing it that way. So my rows are barely 20 centimetres apart, but what I find, having them so close, they kind of help to hold each other up, because I do think I'm quite windy here. Certainly there are some very high winds forecast. So let's get on with, I'm just going to get them all laid out, and then I've got my super little trick to hand for when I actually sow them. Oh, what a doofus. I've just filmed a whole section, except I haven't filmed it, didn't press record. It's quite a high pain day for me today. I wasn't even going to come out and do this because it is, like I said, it's a really high pain day, but this is my only dry window, so I need to do it. What you missed was me laying out my seeds on the top of the soil, and I get them all laid out, and they're about 25 centimetres apart. And what I was saying is I put the seeds on the top of the soil before planting them, firstly just so I can sort of stand back and look at my spacing and be happy with it. And generally I always am, because I've done it so many times before. I kind of just have that feel of I know my spacings now. But it's useful, especially if you're a beginner, laying the seeds out on the top when it's big seeds like beans, you can see them. But also then as I sow, so they're all sitting there. Once I've pushed one of them into the soil, give it this little bit of chili powder, cover it over. I know it doesn't matter if I forget where I just sowed that one, because the next one is already sitting where it needs to be sown. So if you look away for a minute and then you come back and you think, oh no, where did I actually sow that one, if you sow as you go. So for me, I just find that works in terms of being able to visualise my spacing, but also make sure I'm not accidentally sowing more than one in one hole by error. Also, just a word on the chilli, because someone did sort of slightly reprimand me about the chilli, saying that it was cruel to use chilli because it blinds mice. No, there will be no 3 blind mice in my garden. I did my own research afterwards, and chilli does not blind mice. They're sensitive to it, it irritates them, and so therefore they stay away. And that's the whole point of using it, is I don't want to kill the mice, I don't want to hurt them or harm them in any way. I just want to put them off coming anywhere near my food, because that's what it is. So no, using the chili powder, I'm not being nasty and blinding all the little wild mice who might live around here. Yes, so anyway, QVT, a little bit of planting and quiet time. just heard the train departing. Sweet sound. Okay, last word on the raw beans. I'm just getting my garlic ready. These are my Isle of Wight garlic. So just while I get these cloves out, yeah, on the subject of the broad beans, they will overwinter fine. However, if there is going to be a really quite a heavy frost, prolonged frost, snow even, it's worthwhile giving them a bit of protection once they're up, because they are quite tender. You know, those first new shoots, brand new shoots, will be tender. So what I've done in the past is, even, you know, the minute I've planted them, I'll just put an enviromesh tunnel, row tunnel on them. Oh, I can't get these cloves apart. And partly I've done that in the past to sort of protect them from wind, because the wind can be the cold thing that bothers them. On my allotment, it was wind coming across to batter them. So yeah, a little bit of protection from environmesh tunnels, protecting them from the worst of the wind. But then if there's going to be, like I said, if it's going to be quite hard frost, it's worthwhile as well to throw a bit of fleece over that. I have had them, gosh, what year was it now? Was it 2015 when we had the beast from the east? And we had a week of snow, quite thick snow. I mean, especially for London. It's rare for snow to settle in London. But yeah, we had snow for a whole week. I had the enviromesh tunnels on. I don't think I even got to fleecing them before the snow arrived. Snow that thick on the tunnels. But they survived it. It was just enough protection. I always reckoned it was maybe half 1 degree of protection for them. So yeah, bear that in mind if you're going to plant yours right now too. Or should I say sow rather than plant. We're not putting plants out. Right, I'm getting on with these garlic. I'm just separating the cloves from this bulb. If you've never grown garlic before, you know, it's easy for those of us who have grown it to assume everything is obvious, but it might not be. So when you get your bulb, it smells gorgeous. You get your bulb, peel it off, break it down into the individual cloves, because we're going to be planting these individual cloves. This is going to count as one plant. So we pop it in, and it grows and it grows and it grows, and it fattens up, and then that one little clove becomes, hopefully by the spring, one whole bulb. Yay! Now, I had thought about planting them in between my broad bean rows. However, I think that's going to be a bit too tight, even on my stinginess of space in planting. So what I'm going to do is, I've got these. Oh, it's heavy. Put it down. I'll give you a closer look as I'm doing it. But I've got the fabric planter bags that had some of the tomatoes in. I've got 3 bags, and did I explain this with the broad beans? Was it in the bit of video that I didn't actually video? I'll plant them in a quincunx pattern. Quincunx, Q-U-I-N, quin, like 5, cunx, C-U-N-X, cunx is cunx cross. So if you think about the dots on a die for number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 in the middle. And that's what I did with the broad beans too. So I've got my 3 rows, and the row in the middle, they're all staggered off. So it ends up being seed, 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 bottom row, seed, seed, seed. Do you see what I mean? So that's what I'll do in these bags. So I think I can probably get 5 in each bag. Will I get more? Don't know how many more bulbs, how many cloves I'm going to end up with. And then I've got some kind of bog standard garlic, supermarket garlic. It's organic garlic, but it's just sort of bog standard supermarket one. And if there's space when I do my next planting session on the other side, I might decide that there's space for some more over there. So, right, I'm going to bring you in closer so you can see what I'm doing. reuse and recycle. So first thing, let's get these little annual weeds out that have blown in on the wind. Oh, it's a nigella. It's a love in a mist. There'll be a lot of that coming up in the garden. Just junk it down there for now. Oh, it's still quite fluffy. So when you're planting your garlic, they're actually really quite big cloves, so I am just going to go with 5 per bag. I think any more would be pushing it. So exactly as I did with the broad beans, I'm just going to pop them on the surface of the soil, growing medium, compost, whatever, just to have a look at and think about my spacing. So there's my 4, and then get one in the middle. Now, if you think about the size of a fully grown bulb, imagine where you've got one, try to imagine the size of a, I don't know what that noise is, a bulb there. And you can see how if that becomes a full bulb and that becomes a bulb and that, so that's actually maxing that space out. In fact, I might just pop it slightly further to the edge. Now in terms of planting, easy peasy, I'm going to dib a hole with my finger. Don't be tempted to just jam the clove in. It's exactly the same with onion sets as well, because this little growing plate on the bottom, it's quite strong, it's quite robust, but on the other hand, it's not so much in compost because the compost is quite soft, but if you're doing it in your garden or allotment, if you jam it in and jam it against a stone, you might damage it. So I always dib a hole with my finger, pop it in, and you might think, crikey, that's deep. There's just the tiniest little bit showing there, and I'm actually going to cover that up too. So I plant them to their own depth, and then, oh, it might be air sea rescue helicopter. Snug as little bugs. Yeah, and that's it. They won't need any kind of protection. The only protection they might need depends on, I might have to stop for a second because that's right overhead now. There might be going to be, there's a helipad just on Peveril Point, which is sort of just up behind me. I think it's one of those filming days where I think, oh, I should have done this another day, but like I said, it's dry today, so I need to do it. Try to ignore the pain, try to ignore all the other noises, and whatever that helicopter is flying for, whoever it's flying for, let's hope they get to them in time. Yes, protection. I won't give them any protection from frost, because actually they need a bit of frosting later in the season to help them split, to help those cloves split. So what I mean is that clove is growing, when it gets sort of bulb size, it then needs to split into its cloves. It's hard to explain. If we don't get a good frosting, you'll often come up with, it will grow, you'll end up with a garlic-sized bit of produce, but it'll be one big mono bulb rather than cloves. So if that happens, you need to kind of, what I've done in the past is chop it up and freeze it as smaller bits. But in terms of protection, I was just thinking, for those of you in squirrel prone gardens, it's not so much that they would go for the garlic, but they might be attracted to this in terms of for burying their nuts. So you might end up with all your garlic disturbed by squirrel nuts, or jays for that matter. Jays like to bury their acorns. Okay, let me get on and do the other two, and then we'll see where I'm at. Good. I'll show you where I've got to planting wise in a sec, but I've decided I'm going to do something today that I wasn't planning to do, but I think just based on temperature and you see behind me of my shoulder, that's it for sunshine in the garden now. It's gone noon, so you can see it's just sort of in the corner here. 1, 2 o'clock, I might get a little bit on this wall, but it's not really getting down to the patio now. So I'm going to harvest the squash. Also, because we do have a couple of nights coming up where the forecast says 6 degrees centigrade, so it's getting a bit chilly for them. Also, I have, right, let's get on and I'm going to tip you down. We're sitting by all the, there they are. Ooh, sorry. Yes, I also had out a couple of days ago, the courgette, because yeah, we were getting chilly, they were in the way, sprawled all over the patio. So yeah, they came out and I harvested a final 6 fruits from them. They've been absolutely fantastic. So not the biggest butternuts in the world, but they will feed me. I mean, everything is absolutely sopping wet at the moment. You can see normally when you would harvest your squash, you want a nice dry stalk here. And when you are harvesting, just be a little bit, let me dump that over. Oh no, I can't even snip it, it's so wet. Just be careful to preserve your stalk, a little bit either side, because that's kind of like, it's almost like your lid, the lid on your fruit, and that's what's going to help preserve it for up to months. I've eaten butternut squash 14, 15 months after harvest, so they don't need much attention. It will get a clean, a wipe down, I'll check over, make sure that the skin is all intact, that there are no holes. If there are splits or whatever, I might think, right, I either need to use it straight away or get it chopped up and into the freezer. This one, the stem, you could probably hear, is a little bit drier. So yeah, like I said, they're not the biggest this year, but considering that they were grown in these little bags, yeah, I'm happy. So, oh, I should have said, that's little Miss Wall Squash. She really is a little miss. And then this one that, right at the last minute, decided to grow a friend. So yeah, they're all pretty mucky, sopping wet. Let's not take this baby snails indoors with us. This one, I mean, how ridiculous. But there's a bit of flesh on there. I'm not going to sniff at a bit of flesh. How ripe it will get, I don't know. But I'll see if I can use it. Oh, and not forgetting, we need to go to the other side of the garden for the uchikikuri. Yeah, I'm glad to harvest these today as well, because down at the plant's base, at its roots, I didn't quite get to finish weeding just around there because it was all a bit tricky with the plant. So I can get this plant out now, get properly weeded before in the next video you'll see me planting in that bed. But for now, tree squash. Oh, it weighs quite a bit. That's good. Oh, where am I putting my feet? That's a beautiful squash, isn't it? So it's called uchikikuri, and yes, it's edible. I wouldn't grow decorative squash. That'd be a waste of garden. So yes, it's an edible one. Stalk's nice and dry. Oh, bit of damage on the back side there. Is that from, there's a tiny little slug on there. Get off. Get off my secateurs now. I don't know what's caused that. It might, sorry, you can't see. Did it rub on the fence? But I'm glad I've spotted that, because that means I'm probably going to crack into this one pronto. There's way more than I would need for one meal. So probably, as I just said with the butternuts, I'll probably get it open, scoop out seeds, get the skin off, get it all chopped up, get it in the freezer. Don't give it a chance to rot. Good. and I can get the remain of that tomato plant out as well, and get the rest of this out of the viburnum tree. Okay, well, this is where I'm up to for today. Broad beans planted, sowed, garlic planted, the teeniest, tiniest squash harvest ever, but hey, it's food, it's money in the bank. And otherwise the garden is an absolute tip. Lots to do still. I think I'm going to have a spot of lunch maybe, and then carry on, because then I've got this bed I want to tackle. But at least I managed to get the weeding done on a dry day, whenever that was, and at least I've managed to get that bed sown before the next deluge of rain. You see what I mean about the sun? You see where it's just on the corner there? Come back down. No sun. Anyway, good. I'm happy to get those bits done on a day which felt like, honestly, let me sit. Look at the state. Oh my goodness. Yeah, on a day which has felt like, frankly, like everything is trying to conspire against me. But I've got a bed sown. Yay! Look deep in shade. Alright, my lovelies, I will see you all again really soon, and hopefully for some more planting for winter. Until then, cheerio.